welcome to another edition. Again, Indian economy, we're going on and in continuation with the state of the major sectors at the time of independence. So last we did on agriculture, and in this we are going to talk about industry. So it's in continuation of the state of the major sectors at the time of independence. And industry was in a very poor state because of the exploitation of the British. And I have again put it as an acronym, or like DVLLMNC. Now D is for deindustrialization, V for very few modern industries, L for lack of capital goods industries, and another L for limited role of the public sector, and M for managing agency system, then N for new pattern of demand, and C is for contribution to GDP. That's how we're going to learn for you to see. Please make a note of this, or you can just look at these what I have written while I talk. So industrial sector was in a poor state. That was because of the exploitative policy of the British rulers. And because of them, there was a decay of the world-famed traditional Indian handicrafts. Handicrafts का बिल्कुल decay हो गया था, खत्म हो गई थी. We were very good in cotton and silk textiles, metal and precious stone works, etc. Everything came to an end. And एक और था कि there was a lack of investment opportunities. Investment ही नहीं होती थी यहाँ पे. There were no opportunities given to the people of India here. So modern industries did not come up. So let's take the first one, deindustrialization. क्या होता है? It's a term opposite to industrialization. It implies, बताता है कि destroying the industrial activities in a country or a region. And the British government really did it very well. Number one, ऐसे उन्होंने करा कि it reduced India to a status of mere exporter of important raw materials. Raw materials करना था, और जो finished goods से वहाँ से आते थे. So second was to convert India into a market for finished products of the same industries. So obviously हमारी indigenous जो अपनी handicrafts industries या कोई भी industries जो हमारी थी, that declined, and there was massive unemployment because of that. And जो भी शहरों में थे, जो काम कर रहे थे craftsmen, वो cities से चले गए villages में. And again, that increased the burden of population of villages and agriculture. And जो Indian made goods भी थे ना, they could not face foreign competition, because you will always find machine made goods are much cheaper. So that also, because demand हो गई थी उनकी, तो that way import of manufactured goods from England were a hit here also. Okay, so that is DV. V was very few modern industries. I've taken V for very few modern industries. So only those industries were developed which could serve British interests, and वो थे जैसे cotton, jute, iron and steel, plantations, mining, etc. And also other industries like sugar, paper, match industries, they were set up with the help of British capital. But you know what, their profits were not reinvested into the back here. They were not reinvested. And they were remitted. Remitted means they were sent back to Britain. That was the whole thing. So we have L. Now L is for lack of capital goods industries. What are capital goods industries? Are those industries which can produce machine tools, which are in turn used for producing consumer goods. और हमारे यहाँ तब बिल्कुल hardly any capital goods industries were there, and they were not really, so industrialization could not really be promoted. You can see that. We had one good Tata Iron and Steel Company, was the only important basic industries. that was established in 1907. And Britain really didn't want to promote it because they wanted us to be dependent on them, that is Britain, for supply of capital goods and heavy equipment. So they really were not bothered about improving our capital goods or starting very many capital goods industries. All right. So then we have the limited role of public sector. So the public sector was there. It was confined to railways, power generation, communication, ports, and some other departmental undertakings. तो वो भी, that also which helped them, which helped their trade. Then another very important thing was this managing agency system. Now we're going to do, so what have we finished with? DVL, dwell, DVLL. And now we're going to do MNC, managing agency system. So manage agency system, what was this? This was the former servants of East India Company that had set up their businesses as general merchants. And then they came to acquire a good information, knowledge of the local markets, and they also knew ways to exploit them. And these traders made effective use of their connection with the British monopolies and acted as their agents. Now what happened? As a result, the British capital flowed to India and got distributed among the various enterprises that were promoted by them. So this was basically the managed agency system. They were managed mainly by these agents who got high commission for their services, basically. So that was M. Then new pattern of demand. There was a new pattern of demand because of the British culture that was cultivated even amongst the Indians. A new class of people emerged in India, and we wanted to copy the Western lifestyle. So the demand for Indian products actually came down in favor of the British products. So that's how also Indian industry suffered. And because of this, what happens? MNC, contribution to GDP. That means the growth rate of industrial sector and its contribution to the country's gross domestic product came down, and it became very small. So with that, we've seen that how the industrial sector what was the state of the industrial sector. So that's it, and we'll discuss the other trade, etc. in the next.